Hi YouTube, my name is Raven, and as you can see by the title of the video today, I will be talking about my story of having depersonalization and the reason that came about due to me finding out that I was a product of incest. Um, just a few disclaimers. I'm not a YouTuber, so please bear with me. I do have some notes, that way I can just stay on track with everything, but just please bear with me. And also, please be kind in the comments. It did take a lot of courage for me to get on here and share my story. So I just ask that you guys be kind in the comments. Another thing, before I just jump right into it, the reason that I'm sharing my story is because I would like to bring awareness. When I went through all of these things and all of the feelings that I was feeling, there were no resources. Like, I felt there were no resources. I had to do extensive research to figure out what was going on with me. And yeah, I just, I want to be one of the resources, pretty much. So yeah, jump right into it. So I have a definition here that I just found on Google of depersonalization, if you've never heard of it. So I'm just going to read here. So depersonalization slash derealization, it can also be called, disorder, is a mental health condition that causes a persistent or recurring feeling of disconnection from oneself, surroundings, or both. So pretty much every day, well, for me, it's chronic. I've had it since 2018, and it's been like pretty much almost every day. I feel like I'm like in a dream. Like, I feel like the things around me, or like the world around me, is not real. I can function, I go to work, I'm a mom, but it's like I have this fog over me. Like, it's kind of like a weed high, if you've ever smoked, but it's a little bit deeper than that, because it's like, so when I first start, like when I was first going through it, like in the beginning, I used to get scared because I used to look at my hands and I'm like, oh my God, these are not my hands. Like, it was very, very intense. Now, 6 years in, I've learned to adjust to it, but at first it was very scary. But I'll get into that more a little bit later on. But I do want to tell the story of what led up to me developing this depersonalization, and just bring awareness. So yeah. Uh, I have some notes here, so if I'm looking to the right, it's because I have notes here so I could stay on track. So yeah, my mom, she got pregnant with me at the age of 15. She had me at age 16, but she got pregnant with me at 16. So she was a young teen mom. And when she got pregnant with me, she was dating a guy at the time, and she told him, she was pregnant, and he didn't, I don't think he believed it was his, and nor did his family, but he still said, okay, he'll take on the responsibility, and they moved in together, and yeah, they got a place together. And yeah, I came into the world, and they were together, they got married. So when I was about 5, they broke up. They got into a really nasty fight, and he said that he had to leave. Like, he left the state. We were living in New York at the time. So, yeah, he left. He left the state. So, yeah. So when he left, he basically, like, I want to say he basically pretty much cut ties with me. Like, and this man was my best friend. Like, we were so close. Like, we were super close. Like, that was my dog. Like, I was with him all the time. Like, I was definitely a daddy's girl. Up until the age of 5 when he left. I think that it was easier for him to kind of cut ties because he knew deep down that I wasn't his daughter, and he kept asking my mom, like when I was a baby, for a DNA test, and she refused because, of course, she knew that I wasn't his, which we'll get into later on. So growing up after that age of 5, I grew up with a lot of anger inside of me. My mom, she remarried, and I always just grew up like feeling like there was a void inside of me. The only dad I knew had left me, and I just I was just, I don't know. I was just angry. I was angry at him. I didn't understand the situation, and I was just angry. And on top of that, he would come back to like New York and visit, and he wouldn't tell me he was in town. So I think I saw him when I was 10, and that was it. Like, so he would come and I would hear like, oh, he's in town, but what about like coming to see me? Like, he didn't. So that further fueled my anger. So yeah, around age 16, I was living with my aunt at the time. Me and my mom, we were not seeing eye to eye, being 16, going through a little rebellious stage. And so yeah, I went to go live with my aunt, and my aunt has a daughter who's 2 years older than me. So me and her, one day, we had got into an argument, and she told me, like, I think we were like arguing about like me wearing her clothes or something like that. It was like a stupid, like, minuscule argument. Like, it wasn't anything big. And in the middle of the argument, she says, that's why Uncle so-and-so is your dad. And I'm like, like, what? So we're gonna call this uncle, we're gonna call this Uncle Tom. So she says, that's why Uncle Tom is your dad. Now, Uncle Tom is my grandmother's uncle. So my mother's mom, my grandmother, her, my grandmother's mother's brother. So that's my grandmother's uncle. That's her direct uncle. So this is my mother's like second uncle. And then this is like my third uncle or some shit like that. Yeah. So, but I know him. Like, I know him. I, grew up around him, whatever. So it's not like I didn't know him. So she said, yeah, that's why Uncle Tom is your dad. And I was like, what? Like, I'm like, what are you talking about? So I was confused, and I went to my mom and I'm like, hey, I was arguing with cousin, and she said that Uncle Tom is my dad. And I'm like, what's going on? Why would she say that? And then my mom was just my mom kind of paused, and she was like, there's some things that I didn't tell you, but that's not true. Like, he's not your dad, but there are some things that that went on between me and Uncle Tom, but like, he's not your dad. And I just felt super like uncomfortable in the middle of that conversation, and I was 16. So I just decided to end the conversation. I didn't question her further, but I did keep it in the back of my mind because I kind of knew around that age, I kind of figured it out that the guy who left me at age 5 wasn't my dad. I started hearing stories and whatnot, and I started looking at his kids that he had. Like, he had new kids, and I'm like, I don't look like them. I don't look like him. So it's kind of like, yeah, like I don't, yeah. So I started putting, pieces together, and I started getting curious, and I'm starting to wonder, like, okay, who's my dad? Like, if it's not him, who's he? So I decided to do a DNA test. My late 20s, I decided to do a DNA test with the guy who I thought was my dad. And it turned out that he was not my dad. So that was closure for me and for him. Like he knew all along, his family knew all along that I wasn't his daughter, and that was closure. So yeah, like I was able to forgive him and let the hurt go, because I understood that he was young, and he tried to take on the responsibility, and it just didn't work. So I just I was able to finally let that go. So yeah, that was the kind of like the end of that chapter. Like I closed that chapter. And but now I'm like, okay, if he's not my dad, then who is? And I always kept that in my mind. My cousin, just always heard her voice in my mind, like, oh, that's why Uncle Tom is your dad. I always kept that in my mind. Like I literally would never forget that day, like where she was standing, where I was sitting. Like I would just never forget that, because it just shocked me. Like, just to tell somebody that in the middle of an argument was, it was heavy. So yeah, I did the DNA test. He found out he wasn't okay. So I had a second conversation with my mom after the DNA test. Hey, mommy, listen, here's the papers. He ain't my dad. So what's going on? Like, who's my dad? So she goes, oh, it could be a number of people. I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't know. Like, it could be a number of guys. It could be this Spanish guy. Like, she just said she didn't know. So I'm like, all right, I'm not really getting anywhere. Okay, I'm not really getting anywhere with you. That's kind of how I was feeling at the time. Like I wasn't getting the answers, and like I said, I had this void. Like I had this void. My mom, she remarried. I had my stepdad, but at the same time, I didn't feel like me and him didn't have a great relationship. Like I didn't feel like we built a father-daughter bond. I felt more like, I just felt like that was her husband. Like it didn't feel like, yeah, this is my stepdad. Like we have a bond. Like I didn't feel that at all. So growing up, it was just like, I didn't have that father figure. So, I wanted answers. I wanted answers. So, when I turned 30, I did Ancestry DNA. So, did Ancestry DNA. For those of you that don't know, it tells you, where you're from, the origin or whatever, where you're from, and then which parent is from which place, and all of that stuff. So when I did Ancestry, I was looking at the family stuff. Like it tells you who you're related to. Other family members who've done Ancestry DNA will come up, and it tells you, okay, parent one is from this place, parent one is from that place. This is the percentage that you get from whichever place, whatever. So I'm noticing that parent one and parent two is looking real similar. So I'm like, like this is looking real similar. Like it's not like like everything looks similar. Like even the percentages were like very similar from both parents. And then I was getting like Uncle Tom's last name, like his family stuff, his stuff was coming up as like matches. Like, oh, this is your uncle or something. And I'm just like, So I called Ancestry DNA. I called their customer service line, and I'm like, hey, is it possible that this could be, I showed them, I pulled up my account. I'm like, these parents, everything looks similar. Like, could these two people be related? Parent one and parent two, can they be related? And they said yes. Like that's what it looks like. I explained to them the situation. They said yes, that's what it looks like. I wasn't, The only people that were coming up was mainly Uncle Tom's like family members. So that's when I found out that Uncle Tom was my dad. Now, I had a third conversation with my mom. I brought her these results. I said, Mommy, Uncle Tom is my dad. I did ancestry, parent one, parent two, real similar. They're related. Parent one, parent two related. That's it. She says, she breaks down and she's like, yeah, but she's still like in denial. She's still like, I don't know, I don't think so, but it could be, he definitely could be, but I don't know. And I'm like, this is what it is. This is what it is. So I had talks with my cousin, and she told me that her mom told her this when she was a teenager, and it was weighing so heavy on her. Of course, she apologized for how she told me, but she said that it was weighing so heavy on her. And her mom, when her mom told her, she told her not to tell anybody. This is who Raven's dad is. Don't tell anybody. It's a family secret. And that thing weighed so heavy on her. Me and her were very, very close. We still are very close. And it just came out how it came out. So, that's just it. But it was supposedly known in the family that this was my dad. So, okay. So now, I'm sorry, I'm just getting my notes together. All right, so now, after I did that, I called. I hit up on Instagram. I was Instagram friends with, I guess you could call her my sister. This is Uncle Tom's daughter. Now, she would comment on my stuff here and there and be like, oh, we look alike. Oh, you're so pretty. We favor each other. And I never really thought, I never really put two and two together when she would say that. So I called her and I'm like, hey, I really need to talk to you about something. And that phone conversation really just I feel like really changed my life, not in a good way. Honestly, I tell my cousin, the one who told me all the time, I wish she would have never told me this, because it really took a toll on my mental, and not in a good way. All right, I'll get into it. I'll get into it in a few minutes. But all right, so I spoke to my sister on the phone, and she says that she knows I'm her sister because I told her, what I was told and all of this stuff and the DNA stuff and blah, blah, blah. She says, I know you're my sister. And she says that she was old enough to understand what was going on when, before I was conceived, when my mom and Uncle Tom were I guess messing around or whatever. She was old enough to understand, and she saw them messing around, she saw them. So she says, yes, you're my sister for sure. She's like, I knew for years, but I didn't want to tell you that. That's very heavy. And she was like, I didn't know that you even knew that. So when I got off the phone with her, I remember I was at work. I went into the work bathroom and I started looking in the mirror, and I'm just looking at myself, just staring at myself. And I'm like, you're a mistake. I'm like, you're a mistake. Why are you here? You're not supposed to be here. This is all of the things that's coming in my head. You're a mistake. What? Ew, why? Why? Just all of these negative thoughts coming in my head, one after the other, as I'm staring at myself in the mirror. And I'm just confused. I'm feeling anxious. My heart was pounding. I started having an anxiety attack. And then I went home that day, and then next thing you know, a few weeks passed, and my ex at the time one day I was looking at him and I told him, I'm like, you don't feel real right now. And he was like, Raven, what are you talking about? Like, what are you talking about right now? And I'm like, yo, like, you don't feel real. Like, you feel like a fake person. Like, I literally remember saying that to him. And he was like, what are you talking? Like, he's just always a jokester. So he's like, what are you talking about? So I think he like made a joke. And then, I let it go. And then more and more time passed. Like, that was the first time I noticed it, the depersonalization. Like, he didn't, like, I'm looking at him and I feel like I'm in a dream. So that to me, it just felt like he wasn't real. So yeah, like after that, like I start noticing more and more, like I'm waking up and I just feel like I'm like the world around me is just not real. Like my hands don't belong to me. I'm looking in the mirror. I feel like I'm not, I feel like I'm, I feel like I'm looking at myself, but it's not myself. And I know it sounds weird and like crazy, but I guess this is how my brain, like I had a therapist explain to me, she was like, this is how my brain chose to handle the trauma, like having that news dropped on me like that. Like it was like I had a whole identity crisis, like, because it's like, you think one way, like you think I thought, I'm a normal person. Like I mean, not that I'm not a normal person, but it's just like I didn't expect to find out that I was I was put on this earth by two family members. Like it was just a shock. Like I was on a search looking for my dad, and I'm thinking he gonna be like, regular person that's not a family member. But to find out that it's, a family member, it just made me feel weird. Like I just felt so weird. I just felt like my whole identity just wasn't I'm not me. I don't know how to like really explain it, but I just felt like I'm not me. Like, excuse me. Whew. All right. Uh, all right. So, yes, I'm sorry. I'm just trying to, whew, yeah. All right. So where am I now? This this all happened like a few years back when the depersonalization really started back in 2018, before I even had confirmation like from Ancestry DNA that this was my dad. I knew. I knew when I spoke to his daughter, and I knew that this is what it was gonna be. So yeah, like the depersonalization it's been there. Like it's almost every day. Like I go to work with this. I go to work. I'm in this fog. I'm in this like I'm not, nobody around me is real, or I'm not real, but I'm still doing my work. I'm still being a mom. I'm still taking care of my kids, you know. So what I find that's been helping is somatic therapy. There is a lady on Instagram. Her Instagram is the Workout Witch, and I have done her program, and I found that has really helped to bring me back into my body, because honestly, I feel like I'm severely dissociated. Like I'm not fully in my body, and that's why this is happening. So if anybody else is going through this, I would highly recommend her program. Again, her Instagram is the Workout Witch. There is another guy that I found recently, and I actually really, really like his videos. His YouTube is The Mental Level, and he has different meditation videos where it's not like the meditation where you're like feeling like you're gonna fall asleep. It's like more like body awareness. So he'll have you like close your eyes and get into a relaxed state, and then he'll say like pay attention to your left pinky, or he'll say pay attention to your stomach, pay attention to your right collarbone. Then he'll jump down to your left toe. So it's like it's making you be more aware of your body. And the first time I did one of his meditations, I actually came back into my body. Like, I felt everything. Like, I didn't even know my back was hurting that day. Like, I didn't even know. Like, I felt back pain. I felt like I just felt a heaviness on my shoulders, and I'm like, dang, like I didn't even know I felt this way today, but because the depersonalization is so high some days, I don't even feel like, I'm just going through the day. Yeah, maybe my back's hurt, maybe my back hurt, but I don't even feel that because my mind is just not fully, it's not fully there. Like, so that's the best way I can really explain it. So I think that like meditations like that really help, just being more conscious about, like, when I'm washing my hands, I try to feel the, like I try to wash it with like hot water so I can like feel the heat on my hands, like, or cold water so I can like really feel it. Like, I have to really train my brain to like feel, because I'm not fully feeling. So I find that that's what's been helping me. So again, if anyone is out there that is going through this type of thing, depersonalization, you can check out what I just mentioned, and just try to like be more conscious. And even if you're not going through depersonalization, like, I think just being like more grounded and just taking the time to just slow down and just look at your surroundings. Like now I tell myself, like, when I go for a walk, listen for the birds, listen for the trees, listen for the wind. Like, don't just walk so fast. Like, like, especially like, I don't live in New York, but I work in New York. So like, being in New York, you just going, like, you on go. Like, people don't even like when you walking slow, walking down the street. Like, they go around you. Like, that's just the New York mindset. Like, we're just always on go. But like, just learning how to like slow down and just like smell the air. Look at your surroundings, hear the horns beeping, listen to, like, just being more aware and just being more present. That has definitely helped me. I'm not 100% healed from it, but I'm not where I was when I first started, and I really thank God for that. Like, I'm totally not where I am, where I was. So yeah, this is my story. I do want to also add, because I know this might come up, if anybody has any questions, you can always drop them in the comments. But I know this might come up, wanting to know like how my mom, got involved with that. And I will give a little, I mean, this is really not my story to tell, but I will give a little backstory. So he was, he had groomed my mom from the age of 8. He was doing stuff to her from that age. And by the time also, my mom grew up very poor, and he had the money. So by the time she was like 15 or whatever, it was like, I don't know for sure. This is just stories that I've heard, but it was more like a money exchange, like money. But it was also like, you know, you groomed me. She was groomed. So yeah, that's how I came about. Like I said, I don't really want to get too much into my mom's story, but if you guys do want to know a little bit more, or you have any questions, or maybe there's something that I missed, because I am a little bit nervous, you can drop down in the comments below and I will respond, or maybe I'll make another video if there's a lot of questions you guys have. But I really thank you guys for listening. I do want to, before I, officially end the video, I just looked over at a note that I forgot to say. For anybody who might be going through this, where you found out that you're a product of incest, or, something of that nature, my therapist, I had a therapist, and she told me something that really changed my perspective on the whole, I'm a mistake thing. I no longer feel that way. And I give thanks really to God, but also I had a really great therapist who told me, and I just want to share with you, so whoever's watching this that may be going through this, but she basically said that it doesn't matter how I got here. It doesn't matter how you got here, because God made you and he placed you here, and he placed you here for a reason. So it don't matter who your mom or dad is. I belong to God. That's my father. And that's what I had to really, that's what comforted me. I know everybody's not religious, but that's what comforted me. Like, just knowing that I'm not a mistake. There's a reason that I'm here, and I'm still figuring that out, but that's okay, because I have kids, and maybe I was just here to make them, and maybe they're gonna make an impact on the world. I don't know. But that advice right there really changed my mindset around me feeling like I was a mistake. So I just want to, anybody who sees this and you feeling that way, just want to tell you you're not a mistake, and just want to tell you God loves you and God made you for a reason. So yeah, I'm gonna end here. But thank you. If you made it this far in the video, I know this was a pretty long video, but if you made it this far, I really appreciate you. And please, again, please be kind in the comments, please. Thank you.